Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to another CIO East Africa webinar. Today, we have a very exciting topic, which is about how fintechs are game changers during and after the crisis, the COVID crisis. As you all know, when we kicked off with this pandemic, there was a lot of conversation around how will the financial services and how will people get services? How do you pay for services? How do you access your money? What's going to happen to the economy? There's a lot of discussion around that. And one of the first things, especially from a Kenyan perspective, that the president did was he went and had a discussion with the banks and came back with a plan around that. So clearly the issue around money circulating was a big deal, and just making sure that the citizens have money in their pockets. And I'm sure this is the same case across the globe. Luckily for us, where we are sitting today as Kenya and as East Africa, we have become very big on financial services technology, otherwise known as fintech. And I think that kind of put us at a better level, at a higher level in terms of reducing the panic level around how we deal with finances, okay? So we knew using our devices, especially our phones, that we will be okay from a transacting perspective, that our hands are not tied, that to some extent things will continue happening. So we were kind of comfortable going into quarantine. But the thing is, for me, from a personal basis, I know and I believe that fintech is about mobility, okay? And it's about my mobile phone. As far as I'm concerned, in fact, we started transacting through our mobile phones before we started doing things like internet banking in our laptops and things like that. So today, I'm really looking forward to getting a deeper understanding what these fintechs are. And let's not forget, fintechs were disruptors to the traditional way of transacting, okay? But guess what? With the crisis, some of them are also being disrupted. So what are they doing about it? You know, have they stopped? Are they adapting the way everybody else is adapting? I can tell you from a CIO East Africa perspective, we have adapted, and we have adapted very fast. And this is why we have these webinars at least twice a week. So are fintechs adapting, or are they still hanging on to how they were operating before? So before I hand over to our moderator for the day, I just have a few house rules. One, let's not forget to post our question and answers in the question and answer window. Two, if you can't hear anything clearly, please post any issues you may have in the public chat window. We'll try to support you from the back end. Three, we will go through the presentations and then we will go into the Q&A. Four, we have four great giants speaking to us today from a fintech perspective. I'm really looking forward to this session and learning quite a bit. And five, let me just apologize in advance. We will run more than an hour. We're looking at about 90 minutes, but I can bet you it will be 90 minutes that will add value to you. So ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to us having an exciting interactive session as we always do. Thank you so much for joining us. And now I will hand over to our host, Ali Hussein Kassim. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Pleasure to be here today. And I think I will very quickly start before my introductions to my panelists. You know, questions that are always been asked: what is fintech? Is fintech mobile lending? Is fintech blockchain? Is fintech personal finance? I think the question is the answer to that question is not very simple. Fintech is, a plethora of things that come together to make financial services easier and potentially a lot more accessible to the general public. So within fintech, you're talking about RegTech, which is to do with regulation. Within fintech, you're talking about lending, which is something that has been too much on the landscape of about investments in capital markets using financial technology. You're talking about wealth management. Of course, you're also talking about money transfer remittances. And last but not least, you're talking about real estate, mortgage, enablement through fintech. So that's a quick introduction. But let me go straight into introducing my illustrious panelists. We have Stephen Mwaura, who is the chairman and founder of the FinTech Institute. Stephen has a long history in the financial services sector. He's also been the head of national payments at the Central Bank of Kenya. So he brings quite an interesting perspective when it comes to regulation. We have Munyi Viga, who is the CEO of Core Design Africa. And Core Design Africa is really about bringing financial services and meshing it into lifestyles. Then we have Kamau Kunyiha. Kamau is the regional manager for Credit Info for Eastern and Southern Africa. And Kamau's company Credit Info is really more than a credit reference bureau. They provide intelligent information and solutions for businesses and institutions, basically to strengthen their decision-making through analytics. Last but not least, I have my brother, Firas Ahmed. Firas is from Tanzania. Firas is the CEO of Azam Pay, which is part of the Azam Group, Eastern Africa. And what I will do is, when I ask my panelists to start their presentations, maybe I've not done justice to who they are. Those are in my own words, but they will do a 1-minute intro on who they are and what their companies are all about, and go straight into their presentation. So basically, to just remind ourselves, as Laura has said, how have fintechs game changers during this pandemic and after the crisis, or have they been been sort of swept aside by the bigger players, by regulation and stuff like that? So without further ado, let me introduce Kamau Kunyiha, who will take us through the next 7.5 to 10 minutes. Kamau, over to you.
Thank you, Ali, and good afternoon all. Thank you for joining in this webinar session. Thanks, Laura and CIO Africa. Ali has requested just a brief 1-minute introduction on Credit Info. As you mentioned, we are a credit bureau, but we actually focus on information and data and see how we can get greater and better insights from data and data at the clients. I think that in a nutshell would pretty much is our forte. Now, today, on this topic, fintechs are game changers in the crisis. I will speak more towards, how do fintechs impact, or what's their impact been during this period of a pandemic and before and thereafter, and what we are seeing happening around the globe. From a lending perspective, however, Ali gave quite a broad spectrum of what he sees fintechs are and the diverse range that it covers. But what I'll try and focus on is try and see what opportunities or what do we see as disruptors in this period of pandemic, and how can those be converted from being negative to positive drivers for those that are in the fintech, or what businesses should be doing moving forward in times of pandemic to ensure their survival and moving forward. So quickly, just what I guess what everyone knows, what everyone is seeing around the globe, is that this pandemic brings across diverse challenges. I mean, airlines, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, sports are all closed. There's nothing that's happening. Everyone is locked up in their houses, creating quite a bit of frustration for quite a number of people. And obviously, this will create a situation where we'll see a lot of businesses closing down. In the banking sector, financial sector, it's expected that non-performing loans are definitely going to increase based on the reduction in business that we've seen caused by the pandemic lockdowns that we've been going through. But that said, and we look at different impacts through what we would call now, or what is more and more being referred to the COVID age, the different sort of impacts that we are seeing and challenges. Society being traumatized by the lockdown, where you've got a lot more people reporting anxiety issues coming up or raising more anxiety because they're locked up. Consumers being more focused about what other businesses are doing there. Are they being responsive to the fact that COVID has impacted on people, and their businesses are not just thinking about their profits, but also thinking about how they can actually help and support the communities around them? Are they sensitive to that? These are different impacts that we're seeing that are happening around the globe. The fact that changing behavior, people having to work from home. Again, not as many people going to their offices, so movement is highly restricted and kept within confined spaces in order to manage the spread of the virus. But most importantly, and more in line to what we are speaking today, is what's happening on the tech side. So what we're seeing is more businesses seeing how can they invest more on the technology side. How do they create better digital channels to engage with their customers to meet these needs that are now needed? Because if we're not moving around, we're not able to move as freely as we did, but we still need to transact, and businesses still need to continue. So tech has become a very big thing in how we engage our customers. So the customer experience, the user experience for customers to be able to engage with a business's products has become paramount and key for any business to survive during this pandemic. Now, herein now, on a lending perspective, where the fintechs come into play. You can no longer rely on the face-to-face sort of interactions that were there before. And now technology would need to take a front stage and see what the new age of fintechs would be. Now, I got some information from the Harvard Business Review that suggested that only about 11% of data is currently used to assess a customer's position, or only 11% of the available data is used to make a decision, majority of the decisions on them. So that kind of indicates that there's a huge amount, 89% of data that's out there that's not being used, and a very small amount being used to make a decision which is not sufficient. So what you tend to find is that you'd either have a lot of guesswork going into that decision, or if it's not guesswork, it's intuition based on previous performances on lending to a particular cohort of people, so you understand how they behave and you stick to that. So it also limits the growth of the businesses as you go forward. Now, this is where the fintech opportunity comes about, because they have the ability to access additional data to help them bridge that gap that is actually outstanding, which is also most important in this pandemic stage where people are not moving around. How can you use fintech to be able to access this data? Now, the 11% of data that we actually have or is probably being used out there is what you'd call as your traditional data or static data. The fintechs have an opportunity, and have been, as we've seen in the past, being able to tap into what we call live data. So live data is data that is actually being created here and now, and not what you have as your traditional data, which is stored or pooled in a centralized database for a period of time, which tends to also become very old and stagnant. It's not as flexible as what you'd have on the live data side. And you'd have two sides to that on the live data side. So you have the kind of data that we've seen some of the networks here using for the fintechs, telco data, payments data, or data that they pull from the smartphone and the likes. But you also have another sort of data that is also created by the user. So this is information like application data, their psychometric data on their actual behavior and the user behaviors, understanding their profiles and their understanding what their day-to-day behaviors are like also gives us quite a bit of information and allows these people to be able to cater or define products and solutions that best suit that individual or SME based on the additional data that you're getting on their day-to-day activities on a live basis. So obviously for the fintechs, it's creating that ecosystem that is able to digest all this alternative data through a platform, crunch the numbers, and make us bespoke decision based on the data that you're seeing, specific for that person, and not a decision that is created for a group of people as we see in the current age. That has to go. We can no longer be able to operate like that if we are to survive during this pandemic period and moving forward. And more so, if you think about it, it's also equally as key for your SME sector. If lending is going to continue to happen in the SME sector, which is key to growth in the economy, it's obvious that we need to see beyond what they actually have on their previous sales and everything. We need to be able to understand who is interacting with them, what platforms do they use to interact with their customers, and are we able to predict what sales they're doing, because there's enough data out there, live data, that we can get from them that's being generated from solutions created by some of the panelists that you've been mentioned, the solutions that they offer FMCGs in terms of tracking sales or managing FMCG sales. Those are the kind of data sets that could be added on to help make decisions on lending to these SMEs. So the new norm, I guess, is data, data, data. The more data that we're able to get, this is not the time to suppress data. This is the time to actually encourage and push more data into ecosystems to actually help make decisions. It has historically been seen, especially in the SME sector, as a downside because of the tax implications. But I think to survive during this COVID time and moving forward, the benefits are much higher to actually share more data to help you make more specific decisions, to target the right people, to ensure minimum loss and increase your profits, and just pay a bit more tax because you're in a better position. These are the benefits of actually sharing that data through a platform, through a fintech provider that would be available in your market. So again, like I just said, the future for the SMEs and consumers is, we see more and more of them using more and more alternative channels to engage with their customers. They're using more touch points, and all these touch points have and are generating data. How that data can be pushed through into an ecosystem to actually help make decisions for them is going to be key to the future on how businesses, SMEs will survive post-COVID, post a pandemic. I think my time is up. I can see I'm being waved. Thank you very much.
Kamau, thank you so much. I can already see quite a number of questions coming through to you, but we'll ask our audience to hold their horses. We'll come back to those questions. Our next